And we are live. Hello and welcome back to the Freelancers. Welcome to this live stream. We already have two people in here, which is amazing. Thank you very much. If you could just tell me if everything works, if you can hear me, if the stream is going smoothly, that would be amazing. I'm very happy to start this live stream on here today for several reasons. One is that I'm finally recovered again. Some of you know that I caught the flu. I really caught everything under the sun this year. Now also the seasonal flu. But luckily this is now all done and I'm ready to share this live stream with you. I wanted to do this Q&A in a live stream form. Also partly because this is my last video. I'm just a few days before I'm going on a big trip to Argentina. We'll be there for almost a month. I will be traveling the country, and so there will be no time for me to, make many videos. The videos are already planned for April, so you will still get them at 6 p.m. every Monday. But it will just be different in a way that I will not be in the comments and replying to your questions, etc. But Anita will still be doing the socials, so there will still be stuff coming your way. It will just not be from me. I'm still just waiting for some people to come in. They probably got the notification now and the number will go up slowly. I did this already once, and if you guys were also here then, I have the questions from last time, from 2 months ago now, from the Q&A, ready here next to me. So I will answer prepared questions as well. But if you have live questions, just ask them in the comments, ask away. And now people are coming in, already 10 people are here. Hello, welcome. Please let me know where you are watching from. From Istanbul. Hello, Luna. Very nice to have you here. It's always amazing to see where people are tuning in from. And let me also know if you can hear me well. Oh, Nancy, hello. Nice to see you from Egypt. We have Javer Art from France. Where in France are you, Javer? I need to visit France again. It's been too long. Although I've seen there is quite some turbulence going on at the moment, so maybe I wait a bit. I hope you are safe where you are. Maybe I can announce what you can see here. I have now merchandise. I'm very happy to announce that. This was very long in the making. Adri from good old Belgium. From Orléans. Okay, I've never... Thank you, the sound is fine. Luca from Switzerland. Hello. Where are you from, Luca, in Switzerland? So yes, the merchandise. This should have come out at the end of last year for a 20,000 subscriber special. But it turns out it's really hard to make merch that, I say it's hard. It's easy to make like crappy stuff that is just full on plastic and cheap. But I didn't want to do that. So I did some sampling with a few manufacturers. And now I finally found one that I'm very happy with. If you watch my content, you know I'm very fond of hoodies. I really want to make hoodies more professional and accepted in the business world. And now I found one that fits perfectly. It drapes well. The quality is great. It's 80% cotton. So I'm very happy with that. And I also have mugs, this Freelancers mug, and also this translator mug. I had this translation or translator logo made, and I also have a hoodie with that. So I'm very happy to announce that whenever you watch the videos now, there should be, depending on where you're watching from, you should see the store right under my videos. And if this is not available in your country, then you will just have to go into the description and click the link there. This is the best way to support the channel if you want to. Of course, you never have to do anything like this. Just you being here is more than enough. This is just a little extra. All right, we have Edson from Brazil. Hello. Edson Oliveira. Okay, I've seen your comments around. You're a very nice and supportive subscriber. Thank you very much. All right, we are 14 people here, so I think I'm going to start with answering the questions that I have here from last week's Q&A, or last month's. If you have new ones, just ask them in the comments and I will prioritize these, of course. I have a question here from Emiliano Rojas. He asks, "Hi Adrian, I've been watching your channel for some time now and I wanted to make a couple of questions. I wanted to find clients here on YouTube and translate their videos. Now, is there any tool to do the translation without downloading their videos? Or how could it be done now that YouTube doesn't allow the download of SRT files from the channels anymore? That is a very good question. Oh, Luca is from Morge. I love Morge. Very nice. So Emiliano's question, yes. Unfortunately, when I started YouTube, it was still possible for the audience to just subtitle the videos directly. There was an audience tool for creators, but obviously people, wrote all kind of offensive stuff in there, and they had to take it away. Of course, if you give a bunch of people something for free to edit, they will always come up with some stupid stuff. So they took it away, this feature, which is kind of sad. It's still possible to translate, but it's just a bit harder. The creator really needs to go out of their way to do it. Luckily, I have Anita who does it for me. So if you want to work on my videos, you can send an email to freelancers@gmail.com and she will get back to you. For other creators, you really need to just find a way to approach them, either on LinkedIn, Instagram, email, etc. Send them a message that you would like to translate their videos, and they need to send you the SRT file, and then you can work on it. So you don't actually need to download the video. You can do that if you want to do it really professionally. Then you need to download it. There are a couple of downloadable links where you can download YouTube videos. Just check YouTube to MP4 download. I usually Google and then I find it. But if you do it for me, for example, you wouldn't have to download the video. I just send you the SRT file that's already time coded, and you would just translate the video one-to-one and send it back to me or Anita, and we would upload it. I hope that helps. All right, let me see. 23 Kamira asks, hello, Adrian. You mentioned you sometimes use a paid version of a machine translation service. I'm really curious which one it is. Thank you very much. There are a couple of questions about machine translation in here because this was the thumbnail and the big theme of last time's Q&A. That's why there will be a couple of these. To answer this one very briefly, I have a paid subscription of DeepL for like almost a year now. I use it quite frequently, but I always tell my clients, the ones that I use it with, and they are aware. And if you use a paid version, then there is no confidentiality issue. So you can definitely do that. So to answer the question very briefly, DeepL is the one I use. A similar question was from Miss Logical. Love the name. Great video, thank you. I was wondering about machine translation. I'm just starting to look at translation job boards and noticed many jobs saying no Google Translate or similar. Sounds like maybe a little bit is okay. Still, as I develop my own translation style, it sounds like it's best to not have to rely on it too much, definitely. I'm curious about the workflow you've built to avoid machine translators. I'm sure you've got a video on it somewhere, and I will take a look. I don't think I do. If not, would love to hear a bit about your specific workflow steps in the Q&A. So Ms. Logical asks, I'm curious about the workflow you've built to avoid machine translators. It's an interesting question. I'm not exactly sure what you mean. You probably mean my workflow when I work with machine translation versus when I don't work with it. It's very simple. I have a plugin that works with most my CAT tools that I can link my paid machine translation software to the CAT tool, and I can just pre-translate the whole text, and then I post-edit it after. That works for certain text types, certain styles, certain registers. I always, make sure to check first if it makes sense or not. I'm just working now on a large subtitling job that is a very creative work. It's for a client that makes watercolor, and it's a workshop of someone basically presenting how to use this watercolor and what brush strokes to use, etc. It's very creative, very artsy. So I would never use it on a text like this because, first of all, the text immediately becomes less creative when you first have it pre-translated, right? So if it's a creative text, I would never do it. But there are certain instances where it makes sense, and it's just your productivity goes up by, I don't know, 2 or 3 times if you use it. Italo Cabral asks, "Hi Adrian, Italo from Brazil here. Do you have a video on quality assurance? Do you use Xbench, and what QA steps do you adopt? Thanks in advance." Italo, the video is in production actually, so I'm not gonna explain too much here. I do use Xbench when it's required from my clients. I don't have it in my usual workflow, but there are certain clients that require me to use Xbench. There is almost always a problem when I have to use it. Honestly, I'm not a fan of it. Something is always wrong, and there's always a caveat. People saying, "Oh, if Xbench doesn't work, just do this and this." So I don't know. I'm not a fan. Maybe I'm just not good in it. But yes, a quality assurance video is coming your way, probably with someone else on the channel as well. Quality assurance depends a lot whether you work for a direct client or an agency, right? If you are the translator for an agency, your QA doesn't have to be like spotless because you're part of a workflow. It usually goes to a proofreader, then to a finalizer, right? That does the actual QA. But of course, if you work for a direct client, you have to do the QA. So usually I do the translation, send it to my trusted proofreaders, they send it back, and then I do the QA. If I work with a cut tool like MemoQ or STL, they have QA functions integrated. So you click the button and then a bunch of messages come up. Most of them are irrelevant, right? Maybe it tells you this word is double there, or you changed the value from the source to the target for a certain number, for example. But mostly these are intentional things that the QA tool just spits out, and it's good to look at it, but most of them you can ignore. But like on occasion, there is 1 or 2 things that I change, so it's definitely important to do that. Edson, please, I have a question. Yes, please ask away. You can just write them in the chat, and if I can answer, I will do that. Why is it not good to use dear when writing an email? Okay, have you watched my video about reaching out to agencies? Probably. Now, there was some misunderstanding with this, right? I got a lot of these comments like, why is dear not okay? Listen, dear is perfectly okay. You just need to write the name after dear. Don't just write dear, comma, or, like dear resource or dear translator or whatever. That's just not professional, especially not just dear, comma, without any name. But of course, dear Adrian, dear Edson, that is perfectly normal. So that's not what I meant in the video. As dear Adrian, exactly. That is perfectly fine. What I meant is I get so many emails that just say dear and that's it. And that immediately that goes into the bin for me because there's no personalization, nothing. But I didn't talk about the word dear per se. It just needs to be used in the right context. We are almost 20 people in here. Amazing. Thanks so much for joining. I'm going to be live today for about 30 minutes, I think. I don't want to make it too long because this also becomes a video in the end. So this is this week's video that people can also watch that couldn't catch it live. I also remember the dear part, Karen. Yes, I sometimes you get hello dear. That's not a good one either. Yes, exactly. It's hard to... Yeah. There is a way to use dear that is very wrong, but people should use dear almost every day. I use it every day, but you can use it very wrong. So I guess there is... these are things you learn in basic like business communication and stuff, right? People don't have that in English oftentimes. For many years I had business language in German, and I'm very good in that. But the English one I had to learn myself, right? Only then in the translation education, that's when we actually worked on that. Greetings from Argentina. Thanks for the follow, Adrian. Hello, I'm so soon in your country. I can't wait. I will be flying to Buenos Aires on Sunday, and I will spend 3 weeks there, almost 4 weeks. Martin is your name. Where are you from in Argentina? Thank you for being here. All right. Ursula had a question. Wow, Emanuelidu, what a last name. Hi, Adrian. So nice to see you live. Are there any conferences in translation in Europe you would recommend this year? On the basis of which criteria do you choose one? Martin is from Buenos Aires. Very nice. If you have some tips, let me know what I can't miss. Conferences, yes, there are so many happening in Europe. The Gala conference in Dublin, is it just happening or is it just over? I'm not sure. Let me check. That is one of the biggest ones that I would have loved to go. Gala Dublin. Oh, it's just passed, I think. Yeah, 12th to 15th of March. So it's just over. The next one, big one that is coming up is BP Translation Conference in Utrecht, I think, this year. BP Utrecht. I think I will be there. This is in May. Yes, from the 8th to the 10th of May in Utrecht in the Netherlands is the BP Translation Conference. That's a very popular and famous one. Then, of course, in September there is the B word in Belgium. If you've heard of it, that's the one I'm going to host. I was asked to host this first international conference from the Belgium Chamber of Translators and Interpreters. So I will be there for sure. There is MemoQ Fest that I cannot attend this year, unfortunately. It's in middle end of June, I think the 21st of June. I had an amazing time last year. I would have loved to go back, but I have some family matters to attend to, so I can't this year, unfortunately. But I already know some people who go. And there are many more. I actually should do a video on conferences this year. But these are the three that I would recommend for you to go to. Martin, yes, please send me a message. That would be great. Hi from USA, 10-year-old vibes. I hope you're not 10-year-old watching this video, or maybe you are, I don't know. Ursula is from Greece. Hello, thank you for the question. Fabian, hello, wie geht's? I don't know if you covered this. How do you perfect your translation skills? Do I need to take classes or self-study? Would you do as well? What tips would you give a self-study translation aspirant? Very good question, Karen. It's tough. Like, I don't really do translation skills training anymore, I would say. I think now all my training is just on the job, right? Because I work with it every day. Marco is here. Hello. I work with it every day, so there is really no point for me to train this skill anymore. What I do is CPD, continuous professional development. I go to webinars, online events in my specialization, right? Sometimes with ChatGPT, I registered for a webinar of integrating generative AI into the translation workflow. So just things that are not really familiar for me, I sign up for webinars. That's the number one thing I do in terms of professional development. For an aspiring person, I would say do a lot of volunteering work. I have a video on this called The Permission Paradox. If you haven't seen it yet, it's very popular. It seems to solve many people's problems that have the same issue as you when you have no experience, but you want to apply for jobs that require experience. So what do you do? So definitely look up this video. I gave a lot of tips in there how you can improve your portfolio with volunteering jobs. That's definitely a tip I would give to you. Otherwise, just do as you do in university, right? There we just translated newspaper articles all the time, right? Just to practice, and different registers as well. So if maybe on Monday you can translate the children's book, and then on Tuesday something financial, right? So you can actually experience the different registers, the different audiences, and can get better and find your niche. Maybe you suddenly realize that you're really into Wall Street translation or whatever, right? So that's what I would recommend. So what else? Oof, now it's going quickly. The questions are coming in. Javer Art, how would you use translation studies, research, and problem-solving ideas as a sales argument in a way that is profitable? as a sales argument in a way that is profitable. So do you mean, I need some clarification here. Do you mean how you can use these skills in a negotiation, for example? So if you are negotiating and these are your skills, your background, how you can leverage them for the person that listens to you to feel that they are valuable. If that's what you mean, please let me know. Nancy, the worst thing are the deadlines. The worst things are the deadlines. I mean, I guess, yeah, they are tough, but without deadlines, it would also be a bit strange, right? I do enjoy having deadlines. They are kind of our bosses, right? So I'm a person that doesn't like to have deadlines that are maybe a month from now or 2 months from now. I find that too unstable in my brain. I can't really comprehend things. I can't start something now and the deadline is only in May. That is not good for me. So I usually take very short deadline jobs that I can just be productive, finish something and on to the next one. So I do actually have a lot of deadlines every day. So I can't say they are the worst for me. Marco, what is the best thing about being a freelancer and the worst thing as well? The best thing for me is I get to do exactly what I want when I want to do it, right? Of course, this is a luxury to have after a few years when you are in the flow, when you have steady clients. I feel very, very liberated, very free. Like now to go for a trip for a month and to not care at all because I am sure that when I come back, I can just tell my clients, hey, I'm back, and they will send me work again. When I'm a bit ill and I don't feel too well, I do a bit less. And then when I want to make up the money, the revenue again, I just tell them, hey, please send stuff my way. I'm ready to work. So having this freedom and actually really just doing what I enjoy is the best thing for me. The worst thing, well, the worst thing is the usual suspects. Like you don't have the same job security. You don't have the stability. When you're ill, you're not paid, right? If you go on holiday, you're not paid. All of these things, and then you really have to make an effort to be in touch with people, to build up teams, to build up connections, professional connections. If you don't actively pursue that, you will recluse yourself and become very lonely, I guess, in your business approach, and that cannot be the goal because networking is everything, as we know in this community. The word that I already read. So, Javer, some clarification. Yes, let's say when something is complex and requires more work in that sense, also to show what it takes to do a great job. Yes, it happens often that you negotiate with a client that has no idea about the localization process, right? It can very well be that they just think, oh, translation is just simple, right? You take a text, you translate it, you send it back to me. Why does this cost hundreds of euros? Why does this take hours or weeks to do? That happens a lot, and then I do argue with the arguments that you mentioned above, right? That this is years of experience, years of studying, a lot of research that you're paying. Mostly, you pay me for doing the research that you don't do, right? So this is not, you're not really paying me to write the text. You're paying me to do the thing in between. The text that comes out in the end is relatively easily done. I mean, I start now also working with a speech recognition tool. So in the end, I'm not even typing anymore. I'm just saying the text onto a sheet of paper. That is not the translating part. That's not the localizing part. So you need to make it clear to the client that they are not paying the transfer of one word to the other, because that can be done by a machine. They're paying the part in between, the research, knowing which register to choose, knowing how to sell to the audience that you want to sell, if it's sales. That can be tough. It can definitely be tough, and some people will not understand, and then you just need to move on and find a client that understands that there is more to translating than just writing. Oh, 10-year-old wife, sorry, I missed your question. Could you please answer my question? How to get proved experience? What do you mean by proved experience? Proofread by a professional, or what do you mean? Or just paid experience? Nancy says maybe financial instability is one of the worst things as well. Yes, that's what I meant. Like one before you are steady in your income, it can be very tough to be a freelancer. That's why I recommend people always to start next to your job, next to studying. Don't just go in cold turkey and ditch everything and become a freelancer, because that's when you get that can be really tough. Yes, exactly. 10-year-old vibes, please let me know what you mean with proved experience. Marco says, was it a hard decision for you back then to do the step and start a YouTube channel? Putting your face out there feels scary at times. Yes, it does feel scary. It still does feel scary. I was so nervous before I started this live stream. So life is a different beast. I said this in the first time I did it. I no, it wasn't a hard decision back then. I'm not exactly sure why. This was like a peak, as you know, this was a peak lockdown decision. I was literally stuck in my home and wasn't allowed to leave. Uh, the decision was quite easily made, and I had the idea. I ran it past my girlfriend. She said that's a great idea to start, and I filmed 6 videos before even putting them out, right? So by the time the first video went out, I already had a bit of practice, and I knew where this channel should go, where I wanted it to go. This was a personal challenge for me to do this for 1 year initially. Now it's almost 3 years. The struggle only came later. I feel like the struggle came when people started to expect things from me, started to expect like there was a time when I realized that I really need to be careful with what I'm saying, because it catches a lot of attention, a lot of eyes, pairs of eyes, and that's when it became a bit scarier to me. But then I realized that all I do here is share my experience, my opinions, right? None of this should be taken for granted or without a grain of salt. You need to do your own research. You can't copy anyone. I'm just sharing what I've learned over the years. And since I made that switch in mentality, it became much easier. Pedro, hi, first time in a live stream. Thank you for your videos. It's my second time, so you're not far behind. Any advice on how to get direct clients? I'm in the database of quite a lot of agencies, but nowadays hardly get any work. You are in the database, make sure to reach out to them, the people that you are in the database in, because once you're in the database, that means nothing, right? I am in there in the hundreds of databases. That doesn't mean anything. It's important that you follow up with these agencies and tell them, hey, I have availability. If you have something in this language pair, this specialization, please send it my way. But because I say it all the time, and I don't mean it disrespectful towards PMs, but PMs are lazy. Once you are offering them your service, they will send it much more likely to you, right? So don't sit back just because you're in a database. That doesn't mean anything. Direct clients, there's a video coming. That's a very hard question to answer because every approach is so different, right? I made a 2-part series where I was filming until I found a job. There I go into detail how I approach direct clients. I do a lot of things on social media, for example. I reach out to companies directly in the DMs on Twitter and social Instagram, just very casually, because I've learned that this approach tends to, well, it depends on your clients, right? I want to build up my sports branch, so I reach out to a lot of sports retailers, sports manufacturers, and these people are usually very casual. That's why I choose this approach. I approach them in a way that is not salesy at all. It's more like an informal approach to make a connection, and then down the line, if something comes up, I go into kind of sales mode, right? But if you come across too salesy, they will not be interested at all. Cold emailing is something you can do, but it's rarely going to work, right? You really need to be patient. You need to. Wow, Marco with the donation. Thank you so much. That's so kind. You need to you send like hundreds of emails if you want to go the cold emailing way. I would always try to establish a connection beforehand. So go on LinkedIn, look up the company you want to reach out to, maybe go see if they have a marketing department, maybe even a localization department, and make a first connection there. Write them and tell them who you are. Ask who you can actually contact with your email. So it's already a bit warmer than a completely cold email, if you know what I mean. I have a whole video on this coming out in May, so stay tuned for that. You rock, Adrian. Very impressed with what you do. Thank you so much for your support. It means a lot. You are always there for me. Francesca Macchi, how do you manage to balance accepting declining jobs in order to avoid burnout? I just come from a 2 weeks mental health series on the channel. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely check that out. It's not easy to balance that. Declining jobs sucks. I hate doing it, but I have to do it a lot, actually, especially lately. The year started quite slow in January, but now February, March has been very busy. And I had to decline a lot of jobs. I almost always recommend my peers, my colleagues that I work with to a client when I decline something, because I want to offer them a compromise, right? Thank you, Pedro. Awesome advice. I'm glad you like it. So when I decline, I always send it to someone else that I trust and that my customers can trust as well. But yeah, it's not nice to decline, and I'm really thinking about how I can create somehow a funnel for me that I can work with other people together, and I create kind of a working group that everyone is on the same hierarchical level and just working together. This is something I need to work on for a lot longer. This is not something that just comes, but I will try to get that done this year, hopefully. So I have to decline less jobs and I can accept more. In terms of avoiding burnout, that is such a fine line. I can tell you, like, once you realize you're close to burnout, it's already too late, right? So I hope you can figure this out for yourself. Everyone is very different. Some people can work 5 productive hours. Others can work 10 productive hours. I can't give you advice. You shouldn't listen to anyone. You need to feel it in yourself, like what can actually, productive hours and working hours are very different things, right? I can have 10-hour working day easily. That's no problem. But I could never work 10 productive hours. I would just burn myself out immediately. So there's a fine line in there, which I hope you figure out. Wow, 35 people, so many questions. I wanted to do this only 30 minutes, but I'm going to stay until 40 for now. I'm going to try to answer as many questions as I can. Claudia, first off, love your channel. Thank you for being here. I'm a translation student and I would like to start translating or working within the sector. Any tips on where to start? Yes, I've just mentioned it before. You should check out the permission paradox video. This is the best way to start to build up a portfolio of volunteer translations, because you need to build up like an experience, right? Many agencies, most agencies require 2, 3, 4 years experience. But this doesn't mean that it has to be paid experience, right? That's how you can actually trick the system in a way. If you already start working during your studies, for example, you said you're a student, right? Yes. If you're already starting now to build a portfolio, then you are, by the end of your studies, you're already, let's say, 1 or 2 years ahead of your peers, right? And you will already outperform them in any kind of application you send out. So make sure to start right now. Do a lot of volunteering for things like the TEDx speeches, for example. They always look for volunteer translators. There's the Translator Without Borders organization. You can do the Red Cross is looking for volunteers. You can just find your own volunteering opportunities for a local newspaper or for your favorite YouTuber, for example. All of these things will help you a lot down the line. Did I miss something up here? I want to buy a laptop to learn through it and be able to work as a freelancer. Any suggestions, please? Um, there is not much, like as a translator, you don't need that much like strong hardware, right? Me personally, I have a HP EnvyBook. I'm very happy with it. I work with it every single day, obviously. What I would if you I always recommend, like, I'm not against Mac, but I would just recommend people to not go for a Mac because just a lot of CAD tools don't work on Mac. Unless you're really doing very creative things with a lot of InDesign and Photoshop translations, then it makes sense maybe to invest in a Mac. But otherwise, I would go for a PC. An i5 or an i7 processor is yeah, I mean, even i3 is fine, but I would go for i5 or i7 with around 512 giga RAM and that storage, and that is definitely more than enough. Yes, if you want to go more into specifics, you can text me. I have a whole list that I would recommend, but don't want to bore people with technical specs. Anything in the price range of, let's say, 600 to 1,200 euros is perfectly fine, I would say. Is it possible to make a video for students looking for a traineeship? Because most of my classmates have found a traineeship that has nothing to do with translation. Interesting. Okay. I wrote another message. I am a Master 2 Legal and Financial Translation student. Wow. I'm currently trying to find a traineeship in translation. Can you give some advice? I can't. I'm sorry. I have to look into that. I would love to make a video on that. I'm talking actually to the head of the traineeship for the European Commission, translation traineeship. So I would love to make a video with him about that. At the moment, I have no idea about it, so I don't want to give you any info that I'm not completely versed in. In general, traineeships, I would say I'm not the biggest fan of, unless they are paid. They're actually, a valuable asset of the company. Then it makes sense. But and unfortunately, in the industry, there is a lot of underpaying or even non-paying traineeships, which I find ridiculous. You should never work for free unless it's volunteering, and a traineeship should not be volunteering. So yeah, be careful with not getting ripped off when you look for traineeships in translation. But I'm going to look into that for you. Thank you for the comment, and I would love to make a video on that, yes. And, after some research, I hope I can give you a better answer. I have time for one more question. Greetings from Ukraine. Thank you for your videos. Do you have any recommendations on how to get out of low price segment, especially for translators who are considered to be from poor countries? The only advice I can give you is specialize, become an expert in the field. Then it doesn't matter where you are from, right? The great thing about our profession is that you're not bound to any salaries from a specific country. Like I don't care about the Belgian translator salary, right? I do my own thing, even though I live here, which is great because you can go far beyond the average salary of the country you live in. But I'm aware that for some countries, some languages, the prices are so extremely low that you can't do that, right? So the only chance you have to get out of that is go to companies that value your work, that are probably not in your country. They're probably in another country with higher prices, higher salaries in general, right? So you can reach out to agencies not in Ukraine, but maybe in I don't know, in Germany or France that look for Ukrainian translators. I'm sure there is now a lot of demand for that, actually. And this is a way you can become more profitable, and yes, just be more specialized, be the expert in one specific field. If you are the only person, or let's say one of 5 experts in this specific field in Ukrainian, you can charge what you want because people need your services, right? That is the key there. Okay, thank you, because most of my classmates work in a multilingual environment. Melody here, hello. Yeah, I know multilingual environments. That is also for me already when I did my studies, most people went into this direction, which is also fine. Like, to be honest, we should be glad if not every translation student becomes a translator, right? It's not for everyone. You can realize that during your studies, and then you can still go another way. Very many of my friends are not translators in the end, but are very happy within the language industry or even in another multinational industry. No way, from Nigeria, Josie. Hello. That's amazing. Okay, I'm gonna end it here because this will become a video and I don't want to make this too long. I want to mention again the new merch I have. As you can see here, this blue hoodie, I love it. And I also have the cups and the t-shirt. And these are samples. These are not the original, the finalized design, but they're very similar. I finally found a company that does a very good job. It should be either under this live stream or in the description, or I can also copy the link into the chat. If you want to support me and the channel, and so I can actually make this a sustainable thing and continue this content every week, this is the best way to support me. Of course, you never have to do that. Just being here, watching the videos, interacting is more than enough. We had almost 40 viewers concurrent. I'm very happy that you guys were here. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Is there shipping to Brazil? Yes, there is worldwide shipping. I managed to finally arrange that with a company from the Czech Republic. I'm very happy. Your commitment with your fellow translators is inspiring. Thank you so much, Leila, for being here. Very helpful. All right, I see you. Well, you see my videos in April. I will not be here in April, so I will not be in the comments interacting. I will not bring my laptop on my travel. I will just explore South America without any technology. So excuse me for that, but I will be back interacting with you in May. But still, there will be a video every Monday. They are ready and they are cool, so stay tuned for that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Claudia. Bye-bye, everyone.